All right, guys, welcome to the Reece Report. I'm the mouth of the North, Andrew Reece, and I am doing my first live uh, on my channel. This is the debut of Restless Reece, and normally when I'm restless, I'm not a happy man. So, if you enjoy my rants, as you usually hear on Raptors Live TV, you will enjoy this show. But there will be some positivity because we will talk about uh, SGA from Oklahoma City later in the show and his MVP case. We'll also talk about Grady Dick and his last couple of games and him really coming on and finding himself and uh, actually earning minutes.
Want positivity? Talk about Siakam being gone.
Yes, my wife also wants to talk about the Siakam trade, so we will bring that up as well. Um, and the Masai presser, which was well, we'll get into it. I don't want to I don't want to reveal too much other than if you believe that sniffle bag, then that's on you, not on me. Masai Ujiri really put a show on that presser, and I'll get a little into that. We're also obviously going to take all your questions. Anyone who is joining us, I will answer any question you have regarding the Raptors, regarding the NBA, regarding Masai, Grady, anything you want. I'm here to answer your questions today. We'll probably go for about an hour. Um, Depending on how my audience is. Hello to East Coast Coach. Uh, glad to see you here. Um, uh, as always, I'm gonna try to make this a weekly thing where I do a live, guys. I'm hoping that I can get some more subscribers and some more people to pay attention to the mouth and follow the mouth because I bring it every single time I do something like this, and I'm about to bring it today. Um, so I only have one person right now. It's early, so I'm gonna start my rant. Let's start with the Raptors, who absolutely got destroyed by the Knicks by 26. It's their third straight loss to the Knicks this year. Um, the Knicks shot 54% from the field. The Raptors continue their downward trend of horrible defense, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. Um, they got out rebounded 61-31 yesterday, and I'm sorry, but if you get out rebounded by 30, I don't care how small the team you are, that's effort. That's just like, effort. And, you know, rebounding is an effort thing, defense is an effort thing. You have to want to do it. You have to want to box out. You have to want to stay in front of your man. You have to want to put your body up against other men and try to stop people. And the Raptors just haven't done that for a couple of months now. In just January alone, they are 26th in defensive rating. Only Portland, Milwaukee, Detroit, and Golden State are worse, and that's why the Raptors are 16 and 27. Um, Here's another thing that you guys should know that is absolutely atrocious. The Raptors have not won a single game in their division yet. They're 0 and 11. 0 and 11 in their own division. Like, I know divisions don't mean much and it's just a division thing, but it's like when you're 0 and 11 against your own division, like you have to be really, really bad to be 0 and 11 in your own division. Like, it's just embarrassing to be 0 and 11. Like, those are your rivals. You should be, getting up for those games and trying to beat those teams. And it has just been nothing against those teams this year. Um, the Knicks had 21 turnovers and still won this game by 26. That's when you know it was a really bad effort. I mean, 21 turnovers and yet you lose by 26. That's really bad. Um, the Knicks outscored a 64-50 in the paint. Once again, if we don't win the paint battle, we typically lose the game. Um, so they just seem to have an inconsistency about them that's not going to go away anytime soon. I understand that the team just traded Pascal Siakam, but even with Pascal Siakam on the floor, they struggled defensively. It's a new era. And with that new era, we have Scotty Barnes. Now, I love Scotty Barnes. and I hope that he becomes the face of the league, as Darko said. I don't think that's going to happen. But what I want him to focus on is being I want him to focus on being just face of the Raptors. I mean, last night was a big game. You know, they're in New York. It's Madison Square Garden. It's the big stage. And you're 4 of 14 for 9 points. I mean, Pascal Siakam's gone. Fred VanVleet is gone. This is your team, Scotty. 4 of 14 for 9 points is not getting it done. The other night when we lost to Chicago, we had 6 turnovers, and all of them were crucial ones. Even in a game, you had 30 points. So I need Scotty to be better. I need Scotty to be more aggressive. I need him to be a much more impactful player than he has been. The only 2 players that showed up yesterday were RJ Barrett, who clearly had, some motivation in him to going back to New York. IQ, who was okay, and Grady Dick, who I'm going to talk about a lot. Grady Dick has now had 2 games where he's been awesome in very limited amount of minutes. He had 7 minutes the other night against the Bulls, and he had 16 last night. Now, you could look at that as a positive. His minutes are going up. The reason why I say 7 minutes in Chicago, I know he played 11 minutes, but the 4 other minutes were in garbage time. I want to know when Grady's playing significant minutes that matter. Yesterday, he kind of played in garbage time as well when the Raptors went down 26. So maybe it's closer to 12 minutes. But in those 12 minutes, he was very effective shooting the 3 from the corner. He also was very active on defense. Yes, I understand he has no chance against Jalen Brunson guys. Like, if you put Grady Dick against Jalen Brunson at the top of the 3-point line, he has 0 chance of stopping him. So if you want to get on him for his defense, that's cool. He's not a good defender. I agree. He's only a guy who's going to get into the lanes and try to steal the ball, and he's going to try to be active on rebounds, and that's what he was last night. But if you put him one-on-one against Jalen Brunson, he's going to lose every single time. We don't really have point-of-attack defenders on his team, and Grady Dick is definitely not one of them. I will say this. For a guy who barely plays and has been called a bust, he outplayed Dennis Schroeder last night. Where was he? Can someone tell me if they've seen Dennis Schroeder? Is he doing another interview with the Knicks? Is he doing another interview with Boston and signing jerseys? Is his mind elsewhere? Because 1 of 5 for 2 points in 22 minutes? That's what we got out of Dennis Schroeder last night. Mr. Sixth Man, Mr. Impactful off the bench. I didn't see that last night. So, I'd much rather see Grady Dick than see Dennis Schroeder if he's going to produce like that. Yes, another interview with Will Liu. Well, I guess that's where he's going then because, Coach, I didn't see him last night. He was kind of invisible. Yeah, I just don't like to see efforts like that. Like, show some pride, guys. You get beat down by 26. Like, I know this team is built for offense. I understand that they're a good offensive team, and they've been, I believe, in the top 10 since the trade's been made. But when you're allowing 126 points a game since that trade, how are you going to win? I mean, it's just, we saw this with Indiana the other night. It's like, listen, you can trade for Pascal Siakam, but if you can't stop Portland, then you're not going to win very many games, especially in the playoffs. Like, Portland shot 59% from the field on them in the first half with their entire team intact. So I know everyone's like, oh, you just got to get off and shoot. I like the offense. I like RJ and IQ. I like that we added those players and we have shooters. But if you can't defend a nosebleed, you're not going to win too many games. And you've seen it in the record. I'm going to go. Yeah, yes. I know, Coach. It's really bad. Mike D'Antoni, back in the day when he coached Phoenix, as Coach has mentioned Mike D'Antoni here. I just want to throw this up here. So Mike D'Antoni didn't care about defense. He would coach the Suns just to outscore teams. It worked in the regular season. But when they got to the playoffs and they played teams like the Lakers and San Antonio, they got knocked out of the playoffs. Now, granted, one of those was the refs screwing them, as Raptor fans know, all about refs screwing people. For those who don't remember, Steve Nash got body checked into the timekeeper area by Robert Ory. All the Phoenix Suns players came out to defend him, and they all got suspended, which completely changed that series. So I don't know what Darko's plan is other than pass a lot, because I'm watching this team play, and all I see is I see a lot of ball movement. That's great. See a lot of ball movement. Their three-point shooting has improved slightly, although they did have a 4 for 28 the other night in a loss to Boston. But I don't see much else. I see a lot of creativity from RJ and IQ on their own, not within the offense. I see Scotty Barnes sort of floating around and trying to figure out what he needs to do to get involved in the offense, which is not really a good thing if you're the Raptors. I don't think you want to be a team that's trying to figure it out in January. Now, I understand they started over, and they're trying to rediscover their offense. But when you're 21st in three-point shooting, I don't think you're going to outscore too many teams, as coaches pointed out here. And so, I just think that the Raptors have to figure out different ways to get their points. Example, Grady Dick. And I want to shout out Hopeful for this. Grady Dick got those points by running into the corner. And that's pretty much all he's done all season. He runs into the corner, hoping for a pass. That's been his game. Other than that, when he gets the ball at the top of the three-point line, he tries to drive, he stops, and he typically will pass it to somebody instead of trying to drive in and score, because he's slight, may not get the foul call. If he doesn't feel like he can beat his guy, he'd rather pass and turn it over. That's his game on offense right now. For anyone who's watched Grady Dick play in college, this guy is a guy who can really move on the basketball court, and he's tall, and he's got a quick release. And if you've seen him the last couple of games, you've seen his quick release. You've seen him get open. You've seen him pump fake to get open. You've seen him make 4 threes out of, I believe, 4 threes out of 7 the last 2 games. Why isn't Darko running him in pick actions? Why isn't Darko setting double screens for him? Golden State is the master of this. Klay Thompson became the player he became because of double screens and because of Golden State's ability to get him open, running off of double picks and screens and getting his quick release off. The Raptors aren't doing that for Grady Dick. The Raptors are just telling him to run into a corner and wait for a pass. That's not fully utilizing Grady Dick's abilities. And so I understand that he struggled earlier in the year, but if you're not using him to the best of his abilities, he's going to struggle. Pascal Siakam struggled the first 10 games of this season because they weren't using him to the best of his ability. They were putting him out at the three-point line, and the guy shot 20% from 3 the first 2 months of the season. It wasn't until they finally put Pascal back in the post that his game opened up, and he started to average his 22 to 24 points a game. So that's an indictment on Darko, who is Arco because he doesn't play any defense. I'm going to start calling him Dark if he doesn't get more creative on offense. I understand the 0.5 offense of passing the ball around, but you got to be a little bit more creative than that. Coach, what are my thoughts on Grady's last 3 games? He's been awesome, but awesome in a limited opportunity. I was disappointed in the Bulls game the other day because he really started out hot. He was all over the court. He played an excellent 7 minutes. He had 6 points in those 7 minutes. And then Darko didn't play him until garbage time. And the team was struggling to shoot the basketball. The game was close. They had opportunities to put him out there and give him a shot. I mean, look, the Raptors' record right now, they're 16-27. They're not going anywhere. You might as well play the kid you drafted in the first round. So, he played 12 minutes against Utah and was 0 for 3. That wasn't his finest performance. But since then, he has been 5 of 8 from 3, and he's got 6 and 11 points his last 2 games. He's gotten two steals and 1 steal in the last couple of games as well. So he's been active on defense, which is all you can ask for him. He's not gonna stay in front of anyone. He's not gonna block any shots. So he's given you what you've asked for based on your plan. It's time to start playing him more. Bruce Brown doesn't even want to be here. Like, Bruce Brown went out and said, I like what Tom Thibodeau brings. He basically sold himself out to the Knicks. So, yes, Coach, Grady looks more comfortable. Like 100% agree. But they need to use him more. But Bruce Brown we acquired in the Siakam deal. He was one of the only pieces that was added. And he makes $23 million. But it seems to me that the Raptors are not done and they want to move him. What I will say is that for Bruce Brown to come out and say what he said about Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks, after asking Porter to give up his jersey for $10,000, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, if you're not going to stay long, why have a rookie give up a jersey for you? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But if Bruce Brown wants out, then trade him. You got Gary Trent Jr. and you got you've got Grady. Now, if you want to keep him, then Masai should be more transparent and start communicating, which he doesn't do very well based on his presser. I mean, he basically told everyone during his presser that the lines of communication with Pascal Siakam were not there for the entire summer. So you have the best player in your team who you've stopped communicating with on the last year of his deal, amongst trade rumors all summer long. That's very, very bad front office behavior. I got news for people out there that think Masai's a saint today. I'm not one of them. He needs to apologize to us for the way he handled Pascal Siakam, for the way he handled Fred VanVleet. That's who he needs to apologize to. He needs to apologize to us for the Jakob Poeltl trade. So I'll get more into Masai later, but I want to answer this question here. Does Grady make Gary Trent Jr. expendable? The answer is yes. I understand Gary Trent shooting 42% from 3. He's a very similar player to Grady Dick in this respect. He's not giving you anything defensively. He's not really going to pass the ball, and I think Grady can do that. He's not really going to steal the ball. He's not going to defend. So why would you pay Gary Trent Jr. to stay here when you have Grady Dick as a first-round pick not making as much as him? You might as well replace Grady with Gary Trent with somebody else. Maybe somebody you can actually defend. I thought Bruce Brown was a nice addition because he can defend, but if he doesn't want to be here, then we shouldn't keep him here. So yes, I believe Grady should be the first guy or second guy coming off the bench next year. The team doesn't look like it's going anywhere for a year or two. So I think that Gary Trent should be traded and move on and go somewhere and maybe help another team. And those minutes should be given to Grady Dick. So that answers Coach's question there. So I wanted to get into, I did talk about Bruce Brown a little bit there, and I did like him. The trade was nothing, guys. Listen, Masai Ujiri waited too long. I don't have any sources. I'm not a part of the media, but I follow the Raptors very, very closely, and I read everything, okay? I'm willing to bet that Masai knew he wasn't going to re-sign Pascal Siakam at least a year or two ago, which means, Masai had ample opportunity to trade him and get a lot more than he did for him. That's why he gets no apology from me, and why he doesn't get the golf clap either. So we were 23-30 last year, in January of last year. We still had Siakam. We still had Fred VanVleet. Masai came out and said, we're a selfish team. We all knew it looked like that too as fans, but he came out and said it, but yet thought the team still deserved a chance to compete and traded for Jakob Poeltl. Traded our first-round pick for him and 2 seconds in last year's draft, which was loaded. Let me just see here. Any players let me just put this up here. Any players you think could be had for the Raps in a potential Brown deal? I don't know if we're going to get anything but picks for him. It depends because Hopeful pointed this out the other day when we were talking. Only contending teams are going to be looking for Brown, and they're not going to want to trade any roster players back. So outside of picks, I don't know what we get for Brown. So maybe the Knicks, if they are willing to trade with us again, will give us Quentin Grimes. But I never really thought about what we get. I just think that he's put us in a position where we probably won't get much. And if we do, it'll be from a team that's contending, and therefore they're only going to want to go with draft picks. Look, that's what Indiana did. Indiana gave us nothing. They gave us Bruce Brown, an expendable piece, and filler. We saw Jordan Noir make a 3 yesterday. That was great. Kira Lewis is in the G League, a bust of a first-round pick that may never play for us. And we got 2 draft picks for this year. And let me tell you something, guys, and I will be doing draft coverage this year. This draft sucks. We have 2 picks in a draft that are low 20s that suck. This draft sucks. So that's why Masai came out and said, we're going to be moving these picks, or we're going to be trying to consolidate these picks. The question is, will any team in the league try to do this? Because I'm sure they all know this draft sucks too. So Masai said that he traded this year's pick because the draft sucked. Then he trades Siakam for 2 picks for this year's draft. Do you see what I'm talking about here with Masai Ujiri, guys? How he sounds like a hypocrite and talks out of both sides of his mouth? Now we have 3 picks this year, possibly 4. Not an ideal situation for us for a rebuilding team. This is great because, yes, I laugh too, Coach. He basically called Jakob Poeltl a mistake. Jakob Poeltl's sitting up there somewhere rehabbing his ankle, and he gets called a mistake. Wow. He's just a genius, Masai Ujiri. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I haven't even got into the half of what this guy said during this press conference, but it wasn't pretty. And I didn't want to see his tears after calling Poeltl a mistake either. Coach, I don't know if we're going to get Dort and Deng from OKC. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 game out of first in the West. And they have the MVP of the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in my opinion. I don't think they want to be taking Dort out of that team for Bruce Brown. Especially the way they're rolling right now. They just beat Minnesota again in Minnesota last night for only their 2nd home loss of the season. They're rolling. They're beating good teams while they're at it. They went to Utah, the hottest team in the league, and won there as well. I'm just going to, for people who think it might be Embiid or somebody else, OKC is by far the most improved team in the NBA this year from last year. And let me give you a little bit of a stat line from SGA to prove my case that he's the MVP. Number 1, the NBA likes teams that come from the dead and end up having records like this. We saw it with Russell Westbrook when he won the MVP. So this is SGA stats, Canadian boy, Olympics. Like, this guy's just unbelievable. 31.1 points per game, 6.3 assists, and 5.6 rebounds in 34.5 minutes. So for those who think you need to play 38 to 42 minutes a game to have great stats, you don't. Save your players and play them 34 minutes a game like a normal coach. He's shooting 55% from the field. Shea is a short guard, guys. This is not some like massively tall guard. He's a short guard, shooting 55% from the field. 32.6% from three, which is actually pretty good for him. And 89% from the line. Hey, Raptors, you do me a favor. Go find Shea, okay, when he comes to Canada, and ask him how to shoot free throws. 2.2 steals is also excellent, and he only averages 2 turnovers a game. I mean, you can't get much better than that. And he's just taking over games in the last minutes of games for OKC. Like, I haven't seen a player that can stop him yet. And Minnesota's had one of the best defenses in the league, and they couldn't stop him last night. So that's my shout out to SGA for MVP. What else do I want to go into? Yeah, so Masai. Oh, here we go. Let me just answer this question here. If OKC finishes top 2 in the West, he might be my MVP. Well, he's going to finish in the top 2. They beat Minnesota again. That's their second win over Minnesota this year. They did lose to the Clippers and the Lakers in a back-to-back recently, but they did go to Utah and win. So there is work to be done. They've beaten Denver this year, who went to Boston and gave them their first home loss. Shout out to Jamal Murray, who just cooked the Celtics in that game in a big comeback win. Until further notice, Denver, even though their record doesn't say so, is the team to beat in the West and the team to beat in the NBA. OKC is coming, but Denver is the team to beat. So I will say that I believe that SGA will be the MVP this year. Embiid has missed too many games, and I believe that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will split votes. There's too many stars on that team in Boston. If there's another candidate, please let me know. But I think that SGA is the MVP. Obviously, Jokic could win it again, but Giannis could win it again. But he's got my vote. Oh, JD. Hello to JD. Thank you for coming in with this question here. Let me see here. Darko couldn't figure out how to develop one rook, what makes him the ideal coach next season when you have to deal with the development of Brady and a bunch of other rookies, young guys on top of BBQ. 100% correct, JD. I don't have a lot of faith in Darko developing players when Grady Dick has struggled until January to get minutes on this team. They had zero plan for Grady Dick. Zero. Everybody saw Grady Dick in the summer league and agreed that he struggled as a number one option, as a guy that was trying to create his own shot. We saw that. So as a coach, you say, okay, he's not a guy who's going to get his own shot this early in his career. Let's make sure that we get him involved in the offense in other ways, off pin downs, off double screens, him running off the ball. But none of that has happened, and it still hasn't happened. We're in January, and it still hasn't happened. Grady's just getting shots from the corner on his own. Nobody's helping him. Not the coach, not the players around him. Nobody's helping him. There's been no relationship between him and Scotty Barnes. Like, nothing. He hasn't really played much with the starters. So I don't know how you expect him to his abilities have not been maximized by the Raptors. And it's an indictment on Darko, who's supposed to be a developmental coach and is supposed to know how to get the best out of players, that it hasn't happened with him. And they're going to need him to be as good as he has been the last 2 games on a more consistent basis in higher minute situations and crucial situations, because I don't think Jerry Trent's going to be here next year. And Bruce Brown looks like he wants to be on the first exit out of Toronto. So he's going to at least be your second guard off the bench unless some other signings or trades happen. So you're going to need him to be ready next year. And I would play him a lot to end this season. The Raptors are going nowhere. I don't think they're even going to make the play-in, guys. Like they're so bad defensively. I don't see how they make it. they could lose to anybody, and they could all they could surprise you and beat a Milwaukee once in a while, or something like that. But I don't see a lot of wins coming. Coach, my thoughts on Jante Porter. I would bring him back. He's a good floor spacer. He did block a couple of shots yesterday, which I liked to see. Koloko's gone. Very sadly gone. Looks like he has blood clot issues, and his NBA career is in jeopardy. So we need a backup center when Jakob Perl comes back. And unless you're going to make a trade for a backup center, which they could, I mean, we still have Chris Boucher on this roster. Don't ask me why. We still have Gary Trent Jr. on this roster on a 1-year deal. Don't ask me why. And we still have Jalen McDaniels on this roster. So there are players to be moved. I don't know what you can get for them, but if you can't get a backup center in a deal that's played in the NBA, you might as well go with Porter and continue the development curve of this team. I just don't think Darko's the right coach, but he's going to be the coach, unfortunately. So, let me get into Masai. Guys, I was not a fan of this press conference. And JD, if you're still out there, I'm sure you weren't either. He started off trying to intimidate the media. I'm sure JD and Nigel and other people out there who cover the Raptors enjoyed that. Basically pointing his finger at everyone and saying that I know Pascal Siakam better than all of you. Like, was that the point? Let's just threaten guys right off the start here and see if it'll ease up the questions. Well, thankfully it didn't. And the right questions were asked. But as I've said before, he was very fortunate to get what he did for OG, although we all knew that his value would be higher. Yes, coach, he was very defensive. To the point where he was looking for sympathy at every turn. Bringing up the DeMar DeRozan trade and then looking for tears for a 30-second period while everyone was silent and he put his head down. It was just, come on. Every single turn, every single time I heard him talk, he was looking for sympathy. Okay? This is not easy. Okay. This job's not easy. That's why you get paid $15 million to do it. It's not an easy job. But you can't be in your feelings as a GM. You can't. You've got to do what's best for the Toronto Raptors. And what was best for the Toronto Raptors is for you to deal with Pascal Siakam a lot more professionally than you did. You let the guy hang out there all summer long. Trade rumors. No contract extension. No communication. What did you expect Pascal Siakam to do? And then when the presser started, not this presser, but the presser prior before the season started, he basically called him out and called him selfish after not talking to him all summer. What the heck was that? How was he supposed to react? So he puts it out there saying, I'm not going to re-sign with any team that trades for me. Because number one, he wanted the ability and possibility to go for all NBA so he can get the Supermax. I don't blame him. I would too. And he knew he couldn't get that if he was traded. Per Brian Windhorst, if he was traded from the Raptors in the offseason or any time before the end of his contract, he could not get the Supermax. So that's why he put it out there that I won't re-sign with another team. He didn't want to be traded. He wanted to stay in Toronto. He wanted to sign an extension that never came from Masai. Not only was there no extension offered, but there was no communication with him whatsoever. So Masai, you mishandled this. And for all of Raptors Twitter out there who's either listening or watching this is on Masai, not on Pascal Siakam. Masai caused all of this. Masai caused this trade to be awful and for us to get nothing. Why would Indiana trade us anything? They didn't need to trade any of their prospects. They didn't need to trade any of their stars. Why? Pascal Siakam is going to be a free agent. They could sign him in the offseason if they wanted to. They didn't need to make this trade. They were 22-15 without him. But they thought, hey, if we can improve our team and only give up weak draft picks and one in 2026, then why not? And that's what they did. They gave up Bruce Brown, a guy they just acquired from the Denver Nuggets that they weren't using or that they can replace very easily, and added an all-NBA all-star player for 2 weak draft picks and a 2026, along with 2 prospects that may never see the light of day in Toronto. I would have made that deal tomorrow or the day prior. Coach, I appreciate showing his vulnerability. However, I do worry moving forward his emotional investment in the process. DeMar Lowry and Siakam, I fear this job's taking a toll on him. Yes, he did the same thing with Kyle Lowry, and he did the same thing with DeMar. He got in his feelings. He still made the DeMar trade. He talked about sitting in Kenya for 2 hours, deciding whether or not to call, how he was going to talk to DeMar after the trade. It was never going to go well, because you told the guy he wasn't going to get traded before you traded him. 1 week later, he was gone for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, along with Jakob Poeltl going the other way. And then we had to trade another first to get him back. So GMing in the league is hard. I get that part. And there is an emotional attachment for him and players because he values player relationships. But if you valued his relationship so much, then why'd you stop talking to him for an entire summer? Why'd you break off all communication with him? That's on you, Masai. Right? You can't act all emotional about it now when you didn't talk to him for an entire summer, when you didn't speak to the player at all. Everyone's got cell phones. Everyone's got the internet. It's very, very easy to check in with a player. You chose not to do it because it was personal. So don't cry me a river now that he's gone. And he's gone for literally nothing. Or almost nothing. That's on you, Masai. You got to communicate with your players better. Now, for Kyle Lowry, that was another screw up by Masai. He had a chance to trade Kyle Lowry for Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey. Hey, Andre. Hi to you. I very much appreciate you joining me. But let's go to, I'll continue with the Kyle Lowry stuff. Kyle Lowry, as far as I know, could have been traded for Tyrese Maxey. Instead, Bobby Webster comes out with the same line that Masai Ujiri used in this year's press conference. We wanted to give the team a chance to compete. Well, instead, you lose Kyle Lowry for basically nothing. Because guess what? Goran Dragic is retired. Precious Achiuwa is a Nick who put 18 and 11 on us yesterday. 18 and 11 from Precious Achiuwa yesterday. And you want to tell me that was, we just don't have a big. If Precious Achiuwa gets 18 and 11 on you, that's F-up. Not size. God, I'm so mad about yesterday's game. Thanks, Raptors Dan. I love my wall too. And I appreciate you joining me, even though you're driving. Masai Ujiri is responsible for the decline in this team. Anyone who thinks otherwise is not paying attention or not watching. Goran Dragic, who we acquired in deal, didn't want to play for us. He said he didn't want to play for us. Played 7 games, and then the tragic deal happened. He was traded to San Antonio for Thaddeus Young and our first-round pick. We moved down in the draft to draft, God bless his soul, Christian Koloko. Now, I am not here to kill Christian Koloko. I wish him the best of health. But Walker Kessler was drafted in that spot that we traded down for. And God, would I love to have him instead of Jakob Poeltl right now at $20 million. Do you see the dominoes, guys? You see the dominoes that go down? It's just mistake after mistake after mistake, and the dominoes just keep going down and down and down, and the team gets worse and worse and worse. And just mistake after mistake after mistake leads to Pascal Siakam leaving for nothing. Leads to the OG trade, which we thankfully got 2 nice pieces for. It leads to Fred VanVleet leaving for nothing. Andre, where is Bobby? Why doesn't he say anything? Because Bobby's a puppet. Masai Ujiri runs this team, guys. Bobby's just there to be a presence when Masai is gallivanting to Africa and France and all these other places he goes to worry about that. That's why Masai said in his presser that he's only interested that the Raptors will win with or without him. He basically is planning his exit, guys. If you listen very, very closely, Masai Ujiri is planning his exit out of here. Not only did he call Jakob a mistake, but he basically said the Raptors will win with or without him. He's planning an exit out of here. And he's going to leave us with bare bones. So that's why Bobby doesn't say anything. He's the assistant to the real GM and president, which is Masai Ujiri, who sat there for an hour and talked to us with no one else around, and then complained about how long he was doing the press conference. And then pointed out, laughing, which I didn't think was funny, that most of the free agents that are available this year are ex-Raptors. They ain't coming through that door. Hello, Brian. I'm having a good laugh too at my anger. Let me get to these. Coach, did the Pirtle injury speed up the Siakam trade if they kept winning, or do they wait? Now you're asking me, Coach, to go into Masai's mind. I have no clue what happens in Masai's mind. What I will say is Siakam should have been traded a year ago. Does the Pirtle injury speed it up? Listen, Coach, they were bad with Pirtle. Like, it's as if we lost Jakob Pirtle and all of our losing and all of our bad defense is because he's not around. I don't buy that. We were bad defensively with him. We were bad defensively with OG on the team. We were bad defensively with Pascal Siakam on the team. We were losing to Detroit with Pascal Siakam and Jakob on the team. Like, we were losing to Charlotte with everybody on the team. We were down 20 points to Washington and San Antonio with everybody on the team. So, no, I don't buy that we would have kept winning with or without these guys, and whether I don't buy that it sped up or slowed down the process. But thank you for the question. Brian, yes, I shortly discussed Bruce Brown's comments and disgustingly said that if he would like to go play for Tom Thibodeau, we should send him there for Quentin Grimes, or we should get rid of him before it's too late. Now, he did come back today and clean it up by saying he never said he wanted to leave. If Masai wants to move him, fine. If I end up staying, fine. So he did clean it up a little bit today to backtrack on his comments, but he basically killed his own trade value by doing that. So if we end up trading him to the Knicks, they may send us Quentin Grimes or they may not. But to me, if you don't want to be here, then get lost. I've got Grady Dick I can give minutes to and Gary Trent until his ass is out the door. But I would have liked to have kept Bruce Brown because I like his defensive work. But this team's going nowhere with Bruce Brown anyway because we just gave up 126 to the Knicks and got out rebounded by 30 while scoring 100 points. So it really doesn't matter to answer your question, Brian. Let's get to Raptors. Dan, I just answered this. Thank you. Thanks for the question. Andre, at least we're a better rebounding team with Yak. Okay, so I went and looked this up. We were not destroyed on the boards by anybody but Utah, who has a massive team, and we would have been out rebounded with or without Jakob with. And we were at the end of the road trip, and they killed us on the boards by 23, and the Knicks. All the other teams we played, Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, all those teams we played on the trip, Boston, who has a big team, all those teams, the rebounds were even. So I don't want to hear about size. You got Yante Porter out there. He's 6'11". He's not Jakob Poeltl, but he's 6'11". Rebounding is about effort and putting your body on the line. Dennis Rodman is the best rebounder in NBA history. He's 6'9". He did it by getting to knowing where the ball was, focusing on it, getting his body in there, and being the biggest irritant in NBA history. You need to have effort on the defensive end and to rebound and defend. The Raptors do neither, and that's on Darko. They have athletes. The Raptors could rebound if they wanted to, but it's the way they're playing defense that causes them to not be able to rebound the ball effectively or consistently and defend consistently. Janelle. Hello, Janelle. Did he say he didn't want to be here? I'm not sorry, that's I assume that's Bruce Brown you're talking about. Bruce Brown did not say he did not want to be here. What he said was that he likes what Tom Thibodeau brings and he'd like to be a Knick, which basically says if you want to move me, move me. But it also doesn't say that he didn't want to be here. And he did clean that up today, saying that he did want to be here. If that's the case, and if he gets moved, that's fine too. He doesn't sound like a very happy man that he was moved from Indiana. Let's just put it that way. He's not happy about being here instead of Indiana. So let's put it that way. Brian, funny, that's how you kill your trade value, yet people kill Siakam. Last time I checked, Siakam never said it. Exactly. Siakam handled this with the utmost professionalism. On the way out, while he was here, and before he got here. He did nothing wrong. He wasn't Anthony Davis saying to New Orleans, I want out of here. I don't care what you guys think. Get me out of here, and killing his trade value in the process. He wasn't this superstar egomaniac that said, get me out of here or I'm just going to leave. He didn't do that. He played well. He recovered from the bubble stuff, became an all-NBA player after struggling. He made himself what he is today. And they threw him under the bus. Masai Ujiri threw that man under the damn bus and killed his trade value in the process. Starting from the beginning of this season with the press conference where he called him selfish to the beginning of this year where they froze him out of the offense. Shame on you, Masai. You did this to yourself. I don't want to see your tears after because you caused it. Thanks, Brian. Raptors Dan, when is Masai going to extend Porter? If that's Otto Porter you're talking about, the answer is never. Even Masai's not that dumb. If it's Jante Porter you're talking about, they haven't converted him yet. But Otto and his toe can please go exit stage left. Go back to Golden State and help them lose in the play-in, okay? I don't want to see Otto Porter anymore. I'd rather give the minutes to Grady Dick. Please, go away, Otto, and go deal with your toe and your knee and never come back. Coach, I met Rodman about 10 years ago. I'd say he's more 6'5", which shows, yes, they list him at 6'8", but you're right. He looks a lot shorter than that. Like, he looks like around Jordan's height. But again, Rodman put his mind to it that he was going to become the best rebounder in NBA history, and no one was going to stop him. And guess what? That's what he became. So if you have a mentality of we're going to play defense and we're going to rebound the basketball to try to win games, it can happen. The problem is the mentality in Toronto is we're going to outscore teams. And that's why you have the record you have. This team's not good enough to outscore teams, and you just traded your best offensive player, who the Raptors were plus 10 with when he was in the lineup and minus 10 when he was out of it. And Scotty Barnes is finding out real quick how difficult it is to play without him in the lineup. 9 points on 4 of 14 shooting, Scotty. Yet everyone wants him to be an all-NBA, all-star player this year. Give the kid some time. I love Scotty Barnes. I hope he does well. But give him some time. He's not there yet. Andre, he was talking about being a Knick and he would be fit with Tibbs. Yes, that's what he did. That doesn't mean he wants to go there, but it does mean that he kind of doesn't want to be a Raptor. So, I mean, do with it what you will. I believe that he'll keep playing for us until he's dealt, but I want him dealt. Once you say that and you put that out there, you need to get out of here. Let's not turn this into a Goran Dragic situation where he basically tells you right after he's traded, I don't want to play for you. We don't trade him. We put him in the team for 7 games. He goes home to Slovenia because he doesn't want to play for you. And then you make the disaster Thad Young trade. Let's not do that again. Nelly J, I love you. Thanks for the shout out. Love the watch parties. The mouth had to get on his soapbox, and here he is. Very happy you're joining me. Andre, you can answer that yourself. Bruce said this after the trade, guys. But I will double check. But as far as I know, this is after the trade. But find that out. I did speak briefly about Gary Trent. What I will say about Gary Trent is he's going to give you 3-point shooting, but not much else. He wants to start, and the Raptors is not a place he's going to start. And therefore, you shouldn't pay him to come off the bench. I would rather go with Grady Dick off the bench, who makes a fraction of the amount, and trade Gary for something that can help us at center, power forward, or someone who can help us defensively, because we just have nothing back there. So that would be nice. Yeah, Raptors, Dan, as far as Yante Porter, I know I'm glad you meant him. They have to convert him, and they haven't yet. And they have a roster logjam right now. So knowing the Raptors and the way Masai Ujiri operates, they're going to Jeff Doughton him. So stay tuned. Nelly J, I believe it was yesterday that when he was in New York. Yeah, it was. They interviewed him. The New York media interviewed him, and he said that he would like to fit with Tom Thibodeau. And if you look at their team, he would fit with Tom Thibodeau. He's a defensive presence. Tom Thibodeau loves guys who defend. That's why they traded for OG. And he would fit in New York. Now, what are they going to give us? I guess we'll find out. I don't know if the Knicks will do another deal with us, but my guess is it would be Quentin Grimes coming back if that was the case. But we need some center and power forward help in Toronto right now. We're loaded with guards. We don't need any more guards. Get us some beef. Get us some big guys on this team. We don't have any. That's what we need right now. Coach, do you think front court help should be the number one priority? I just answered that. Yes. The Raptors need front court help. I understand our size problem, which is what's leading to our defensive issues and our rebounding issues. I still think that we need to give more effort on that end of the court. But yes, we definitely need some front court help. Suddenly, we have none of it. And God, do we need some. Get us a power forward or center in here. That would be nice. But that's what I would be aiming to get a power forward in here for sure for Gary, Boucher, or Bruce Brown, or all three. And maybe parlay a couple of those draft picks that we don't want. So that would be, at this point, Masai called Jakob Poeltl a mistake, so maybe he's on the block too. I don't know. Yes, I saw that you tagged me in the articles, Andre, so I appreciate that. Yes. I don't think Bruce Brown wants to be here long. Let's put it that way. So I want to get back to Masai Ujiri because he annoys me. He said that Pascal's success is his success. That is really, really selfish of him to take that credit. If Pascal's success was his success and you think of him as highly as you do, then you should have paid the man. Instead, you traded him for nothing. I'm telling you right now, it was really, really weird to see Pascal Siakam in an Indiana uniform. And when he comes here on February 14th, I hope every single Raptor fan gives him a standing ovation because this is not his fault. The fact that this roster was deconstructed from 2019 until now is not Pascal Siakam's fault. The fact that he didn't build anything around Pascal Siakam because he never believed in him as a number one option is not Pascal Siakam's fault. And yes, JD, freaking crocodile tears. Anyone who bought that Masai Ujiri crocodile tears BS, good luck to you. The Mount ain't buying it. That was to garner sympathy from the media for the mistakes he made. He ain't getting any from me. Andre, I think our number one priority is to build around Scotty and fill in the gaps with what we're seeing. Well, that's what they're doing. They're building around Scotty. They made that very clear. They cleared out Fred VanVleet. They got rid of Pascal Siakam. The idea is build around Scotty. The question I have for everybody is Scotty ready for it? I'm not 100% sure he's ready to be the man right now. He's only in his third season. And since those trades have happened, he has not played well. Outside of that game against Chicago, he has not played very well since the trades have been made. He's had a difficult time adjusting to the fact that he has two attackers on offense named RJ and IQ. So if I'm Scotty, I'm trying to get my ass inside the post where Pascal Siakam is and take advantage of mismatches. And I'm also on the defensive end trying to stay in the paint and not try to guard point of attack defenders. But that's also on Darko, who's probably telling him to guard defenders because Darko thinks he's the face of the league. Is Masai staying next season? Why Kira Lewis was recalled from the 905? I'm not sure about Kira Lewis, guys. All I know is that he was an 8th overall pick, and he hasn't done much in the NBA. Are they going to play him? I doubt it, but we'll see. Is Masai staying next season? Well, I guess we'll see. It looks like he's staying, but look, he screamed to me a guy that was planning his exit. So that's how I'll answer that question. I don't think he'll be here. In 2 years, I don't think he'll be the Raptors GM. Let me put it that way. He'll leave by mutual consent, as they like to say, in order to cover the fact that the guy got fired. They did this with Bill Belichick in New England. For you football fans out there, Bill Belichick left by mutual consent. Him and Bill talked, and they decided that he was going to leave. No, Bill Belichick got fired, but they wanted to cover up and make it look nice because he's a legend and has been coaching there 24 years and has 7 Super Bowls. That's what will happen when Masai leaves. Yeah, I agree, Andre. It pisses me off too because he screwed this up from start to finish when Pascal's contract became an issue. Nelly J, where do you think negotiations fell apart, the term or just the amount? I think that Masai never had any intention of re-signing him. And once it got to the point where Pascal realized that, he's like, no, I'm not going to re-sign with you now because I can go for all NBA. And that's when the divide happened and when the communication stopped and when the trade rumors began in the summer and led to Masai coming into the presser and calling Pascal selfish. That's where it all started. At some point, Pascal said, I'm not going to resign, or Masai, who basically said that he wasn't going to offer him a contract extension, Pascal decided, listen, if I'm not going to get offered an extension, I'm not going to sign one now because I can go for all NBA. And I'm not going to sign with any other team, which did probably hurt his trade value a little bit. But that's on Masai for not communicating with the guy all summer and then calling him selfish and trying to freeze him out of the offense when the season began. So, yes, there are multiple sides to this, but this is mostly on Masai because Pascal, at the end of the day, has to take care of himself when he's being thrown under the bus by his GM and all communication has been broken off. That's on the GM, not the player. Andre, that's okay if he's not fully ready. He just needs the reps, but good coaching with help. I'm not sure who you're talking about. I assume you're talking about Kira Lewis. The Raptors should focus on getting Grady Dick ready and not another forward in Kira Lewis. I don't think Kira Lewis is going to play much for us, but if he does, he should play in the G League until he's ready. We should bring back Kyle to reset our culture. No. you do not bring Kyle Lowry back to this team. And number two, there is 0.000 chance that Kyle is coming back to this team. The only time that Kyle is coming back is when he signs a 1 day to retire as a Raptor. Kyle is not coming back. He's not coming back through those doors, guys. He will go somewhere where he can contend. And I don't think Kyle can really help this team the way it's currently constructed with all the young dudes and with Darko coaching there. So no, I would not hold my breath for Kyle coming back to this team. Oh, Nick Pride's here. Okay. Hello, Nick Pride. Andre, you're talking about Scotty. Okay, so that is an issue with coaching. People will point out that Scotty's improved under Darko. Scotty was going to improve because Fred VanVleet wasn't here, because he was going to get the ball more. Early in the season, you could see that Darko was focusing on getting Scotty at the top of the center circle to try to create his own offense and try to take step back threes, which throws Scotty out of the offense. That's true. But Scotty was always going to improve this year because of Fred VanVleet not being a Raptor. So now that Pascal is gone, we've seen his numbers drop. And we also saw Scotty with the bench players on this team, and it was not pretty. Not pretty at all. So Scotty is going to need help. He can't do it by himself. He's not Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's not Jokic. He's going to need help if he's going to be this all-star, all-NBA player that we all want him to become. Did I talk about the Knicks? Of course I talked about the Knicks. I talked about the Knicks destroying us yesterday for the third time this season by 26 points. I talked about Precious frickin' Achua getting 18 and 11 on us, and about how you out-rebounded us 60-30. And we allowed you to shoot 54% from the field. Pascal Siakam went to New York and scored 54 points. We didn't have him last night, so I didn't expect much. Okay, but I also didn't expect to get blown out and for us to look like we were apathetic on the boards and not defending at all. I did not expect that. I expected Scotty Barnes to show up in New York, where he likes to play in the big games. But he was 4 for 14 from the field and had 9 points. So, yes, I did talk about it. And, yes, you can check out the replay after. I appreciate that. But I'm going to continue with Masai and then continue to answer your questions and then end off. But, Masai says he went through every team scenario with regards to Pascal, and he deserved better. Well, if you did that, number one, he would have been traded. Number two, you wouldn't have broken off all communication with him. So I don't buy that, Masai. Okay? Because Pascal's not someone that you can't deal with. His line of communication was open. He's not Anthony Davis wanting out of New Orleans. Okay? So you should have done better, Masai, and you didn't because of your actions from the summer of this year until the beginning of this season and beyond. You screwed up. That's why we got nothing for our all-star, all-NBA player. And it's going to set us back a couple of years. The Oklahoma City Thunder don't mess around. When a player wants out, they trade him right away. Russell Westbrook, I don't want to be here anymore. Out the door for 4 first-rounders. Paul George, I want to go to play for the Clippers because Kawhi Leonard's there. Okay. SGA and 17 draft picks. Where's OKC now? Where are they now? First in the West with an MVP candidate. You don't waste time when players want out. OG Anunoby, who they were lucky they got RJ Barrett and Quigley for, wanted out at least a year and a half ago when he basically came out and said, I want to be a bigger part of the offense, and that's not going to happen here. Fred VanVleet said it last year that they were focusing more on trying to get Scotty the ball. He gave them every chance to trade him, and they didn't. That's on Masai. You have to move your players when you know they're not happy and before anyone else finds out. Andre, thoughts on Darko, yeah. Masai should be accountable for that mess too. Well, listen, they did a 2-month search for a coach, Ime said, no thanks, I'm going to Houston to join Fred, which is funny in itself. Jordy Fernandez was a major candidate. He went to coach Canada. And God, would I love to have him, because I like Jordy Fernandez in Canada. And a month and a half, 2 months later, we ended up with Darko, who was a well-respected assistant around the league. A European coach who likes to move the basketball. Exactly the coach that Masai wanted to get rid of this selfishness on the team. Well, they do pass the ball more, but they're a horrible defensive team that has athletes that can defend, and they have a bunch of players who look lost. Now, IQ and RJ have been fine since the trade because they're playing like they're New York Knicks still. They're playing their offense their way like they were in New York. RJ's been the best Raptor by a mile since the trade. I mean, he's been great. Aggressive, loving being home. He's been great in pretty much every game except the one where he got benched. And since that game that he got benched, he's been awesome. So the part that no one talked about during the trade was the salary filler. RJ's been great. He's probably going to be here a long time. Again, I digress. The OG trade, which Masai didn't talk about at all. Like, if you look at that trade, it was problem for problem. And what I mean by that is OG was a problem that was going to leave. IQ was not happy with his minutes in New York. And RJ and Tom Thibodeau have had their issues for 2 years now with inconsistent playing time and inconsistent offense. The other thing that, and maybe if my Nick guy is still here, the problem in New York with RJ was he's a left-handed player that likes to go left. Guess who likes to go left in New York as well? Mr. Randall, Julius Randall. So you have two players that are left-handed that like to go left. It's not going to work out too well if they're both in the starting lineup. So it was problem for problem. And my goodness, us getting rid of Malachi Flynn was like, you want to talk about a problem? That's a great problem to get rid of. Along with Precious, who I still don't believe is an NBA caliber player, despite the fact that he pumped us for 18 and 11 yesterday. So that trade worked for both sides, but I believe that Masai was lucky he got that deal because OG had some value still, despite the fact that they didn't move him earlier. Like I said, Masai talks about deserving communication and being emotional about trading players. And this is why we lose players like Kyle Lowry and, Fred VanVleet for almost nothing because he's too emotional with the players. Listen, I understand having a relationship with players. We all have relationships with the players. I mean, there's a lot of people in Raptorland who never want to trade anybody. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your team. And you got to move players that you're not going to resign or you're not going to play here. You can't be emotional about it, right? And I don't believe his emotions anyway, by the way. So I think I pretty much covered most of the Masai stuff. Masai talks about the team going young. Yeah, they're going to go young because they got no other choice. And now that they have Scotty in place as the man, they're going to put shooting around him. Boy, somewhere Pascal Siakam is watching this thing just laughing. It's like, where was that for me? I've been asking for shooting for years. I've been asking to play with a spaced out center for years, and you instead you got my friend Jakob Poeltl. But I digress. I mean, Masai's trying to fix his mistakes. I just don't know if he's going to have enough time to fix his mistakes because if Ed Rogers has anything to say about it, he's going to be out of here faster than he wants. Now, that has a lot to do with ownership and Larry Tannenbaum possibly selling his share of the team. But we'll see how that goes. But I don't think Masai gets another contract. To answer the question that everyone's asking about Masai, I don't think he's getting another contract. So I believe his contract's up in 2 years. He will not be working past that contract. That's my best guess. Yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about. I will say that coming up for the Raptors, since we did do kind of a review of their of their games. We'll talk about who's coming up for them. I'm just going to grab the schedule, guys. And let's hope it's not too bad. Well, they played the Grizzlies at home. Now, the last time I checked, the Grizzlies have no players. Marcus Smart's out. Desmond Bane's out. Brandon Clark's out. Ja Morant's out. The only starter they have is Jaren Jackson Jr. So, my God, if they don't win that game, then I'd be looking at replacing Arco in a hurry. They play the Clippers at home. That's a loss. We're not going to beat the Clippers. They're on a roll. They've beaten everyone left and right. They did a smart thing in Clipperland. They moved Russell Westbrook to the bench, and they have not looked back since. If they have all their players, they beat us and beat us handily. So that's not looking good. At Hawks on Sunday of next week. So only got 3 games this week, short week. The Hawks are free falling. However, I will say that without Trae Young, they won 2 games with DeJounte Murray making back-to-back game-winning threes. Atlanta has a lot of decisions to make, not involving trying to trade us Hunter and whatever other garbage they had for Pascal Siakam. That ship has sailed. But they have a decision to make on Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Who do they want to trade? Because they can't play together, but when they're apart, they're much better. Who do you want to keep, Atlanta? Do you want to start over? And who do you want to start over with? Good question for that team. So that's it. 3 games next week. Well, it'll be a light week. And let me see when that Sunday game is, see if it'll – because I do want to do this like every Sunday, guys. I want to have a show at noon where I talk to all of you, and this will be the day that I do it. That game's at 6. So good. I can do a little bit of a preview of the Hawks game and talk about the game the night before, which is the Clippers. That'll be fun to talk about. And Memphis will be a short week, so have some more time for some shows. Depending on when the championship games are for the NFL, as I cover the NFL as well. I'm very happy my 49ers came back to win yesterday against Green Bay. Otherwise, I would have been getting killed on my show by my guys, so that was good. Let me just answer this for Andre. This is why I don't like Toronto media. Fix his mistake. What was the actual plan? What was the management trying to build? The answer is they had no plan, Andre. The Raptors were directionless for 3 years. And Masai made absolutely no moves to prove otherwise. And he held on to players far too long, thinking that this team was going somewhere. Even the year they won 48 games, guys, they weren't winning the championship, right? The following year, they went 41-41, and they were 7 games under 500 at one point when they had ample opportunity to trade Fred VanVleet or anyone else they had on the roster and get a lot more than what they did. But they didn't do it. They doubled down and they traded for Jakob Poeltl, trading this year's pick in the process, or last year's pick, which was a huge mistake. This year's pick, 2024 pick, right? Because they said they didn't value this draft. And yet, at the same time, called them a mistake. So this is the kind of things that make you think the Raptors are completely directionless. They don't know which direction they want to go or what they want to do. Now that they've traded Siakam and OG, they have no choice but to go young and start over. But Masai still called it a retool. He didn't call it a rebuild. That's why he said he wants to move those draft picks and not hold on to them, and that he wasn't done making moves yet. But however, the last time Masai said, don't put your phone down, we didn't hear anyone calling for months, including Pascal Siakam. So don't hold your breath. Okay, guys, I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. I hope to have some more people next week. For those who came, I really appreciate you coming. I'm going to try to do this every week from 12 to about 1 o'clock on Sundays. So if I can make this my time slot for you all, then maybe people will come on sooner. I'll do my best of selling myself online and stating that I will be here every Sunday from noon now that football's over. It's like my little NFL countdown show, but I'll call it NBA countdown / a review of the Raptors. I may have guests from time to time, so if you'd like to come on and join me on my show, please let me know, DM me, or let me know that you'd like to be on the show or be a part of the show. I can just add you very easily to my channel, and you can come on the show and talk. Obviously, shout out to Hopeful, Beyond, and Coach who come on my show all the time. To any other guests that I've had on the show, please, guys, like, subscribe, and comment on my channel. I'm trying to grow the channel, and I'm trying to get people to interact with me and be a part of my show. This is my first solo show ever, so anyone who came on and is listening or is going to listen to this after, I thank you very much. And as always, I will always be on Nelly's show, any house parties, Nigel's house party on PSF Sports. Give him a shout out. Check out the Good Rookies podcast, which I was on with Nelly and Fahim on Raptors Live TV. I'm always there giving my voice or giving my mouth to what's going on with the Raptors, the NBA, and tons of other sports, which I cover on my channel. I'm always going to be the mouth, and I'm always going to bring the fire, and I'm never going to shy away from anything. So understand that that's who I am, and that's all I'm always going to be unapologetically. I love my Raptors, but I'm also going to be objective about them. They are a terrible defensive team that wants to outscore teams, and I don't think that's a recipe for success. And if you're going to go all offense, why isn't Grady Dick playing more? Your first-round pick from last season. We all know he can't play defense, but if the rest of the team ain't playing defense either, you might as well put him out there. But don't put him out as a point of attack defender against Jalen Brunson. That's not fair. Not fair to the kid at all. Scotty Barnes couldn't stop Jalen Brunson from getting to the cup. So don't do that to the kid. But try to get him open for some more threes, okay? All right, Andre, really appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Spread the word, and try to get me some more people, okay? But for the mouth of North Andrew Reece, I thank you very much for tuning in. Tune in next week at 12, Sunday. I will be sure to porno myself out there and really sell myself online to get you guys to join me. Huh?
Show some skin.
My wife's telling me to show some skin. And before I go, just keep in mind, Grady Dick's not going anywhere. He's here to stay, and he's going to be a player for us. All you people out there who want to call him a bust and a first-round bust, and he was a terrible draft pick, and look at all these other draft picks. Guess what? He's coming for you, and I got all the receipts. I'm going to call all you all out when he becomes an impact player for this team. So keep that in mind. But until then, I'm signing off. Enjoy your Raptors, people, even though they don't give you much to enjoy sometimes. I'm out.